大家好，下午好，我叫马云，是乔治华盛顿大学大四的海军学生。Hi everybody, good afternoon. My name is Matthew Kasturas and I'm a George Washington University senior NROTC student majoring in physics, but this past summer I participated in the Project GO Beijing summer trip hosted by Worcester Polytechnic Institute. It was a great experience and I learned a whole lot, probably the most I've ever learned in such a short period of time. For those of you who don't know, Project GO is an exclusively ROTC and NROTC opportunity sponsored by the DoD to teach cadets and midshipmen critical languages so they can use those critical languages when they become officers. The language I studied was Chinese, but they also offer programs in Russian, Japanese, Farsi, Swahili, Spanish, and so on. Some Project GO programs are totally domestic, others are totally overseas, while some are mixed. But all Project GO programs share the common goal of teaching the cadet or the midshipman as much of the critical language as they possibly can. And while my program was totally overseas, spending 8 weeks in the city of Beijing, China, I can guarantee that whatever program you personally choose, you will learn a great deal of language that you may not even know anything of right now. So let me tell you a bit about my daily Beijing schedule. Every weekday starting at 8:30 a.m., the original group of 13 Project GO students would all go to the same classroom to receive 1.5 hours of instruction, all in Chinese. Then, after a 20-minute break, we would split up into 2 smaller groups and receive another 1.5 hours of more focused learning. Then, throughout the afternoon, each of us would have to see one of the teachers for a period of time lasting between 30 minutes and 1 hour, during which time we could only speak in Chinese to the teachers. Then, at some point later in the afternoon or the evening, we were each assigned Chinese students as language partners for us to sit with them and have a 1 to 1.5 hour practice session, during which time we would review the day's lesson, practice for tomorrow's lesson, or ask any other questions that we might have, so that no matter where we were always surrounded by and using the Chinese that we had learned. In addition, we also had about 2 hours of a focused homework every single night, and every morning we had a character quiz in which we had to reproduce, memorize, and use the characters that we had learned the night before in sentences. So every night we were learning upwards of 20 Chinese characters, speaking them, writing them, and memorizing them, using them as they're meant to be used, so that we got a full, balanced comprehension of the Chinese language. Every weekend, the project coordinators planned a special trip around Beijing or Greater China. These trips were all a day long, and sometimes we brought along students from the Chinese university. Sometimes some of our teachers tagged along. They were really fun and great ways to practice the Chinese that we had learned. Also great ways to relax and recharge for the week coming up. Popular destinations that we hit included the Great Wall, the Forbidden City, the Summer Palace, and the city of Xi'an. We were also allowed to plan a trip by ourselves for 1 weekend, where just some students and some Chinese language partners would come along with us to help us navigate the city. All these trips were very fun and reminded us that this was also a trip to a foreign country, that we could also just take our time to look around and enjoy. At the end of the 8 weeks, we were all given a proficiency test to measure our progress in spoken Chinese. None of us before the project started had any real experience speaking or writing or listening to Chinese, but all of us were able to pass level 1 of the OPI, that's the Oral Proficiency Interview test for Mandarin Chinese. So I consider that a great a achievement and a real testament to the success and the efficacy of the Project GO program. The instructors, the project coordinators, the language partners were all top-notch. They all were really focused on what they had to do. But the best thing that the Project GO has to offer is that it really is on the midshipman or on the cadet to take matters into your own hands, to take charge of your own learning, because the teachers, the language partners, they will make sure that you have a basic comprehension of the language. But if you want to learn more, if you want to really use the language that you're learning, the opportunity is there. You are in the country that speaks that language. You have the opportunity to go out and use it and just to keep speaking it and to not speak English if that is your choice. So Project GO was by far the best opportunity the NROTC has afforded me yet, and I would say that if you have the opportunity as a midshipman or as a cadet at your respective college to do Project GO, by all means, go for it. 再见。